It was a cold November evening when I moved into my friend's house in Evanston. He was going on a business trip for a few days and asked me to look after his pets. The house looked small and pretty. Trees stood on both sides of the street. Everything looked peaceful, but sometimes peace hides something scary. From the moment I entered, I felt a little strange. The air inside was cold, even with the heater on. The lights flickered once or twice. The living room had old paintings on the walls. One showed a man with no face. Another one had eyes that looked real, as if they were watching. There were two pets, a big black K9 dog and a green parrot. They looked at me without blinking, like they already knew me. I smiled and gave them food and water. They didn't move much, but their eyes followed me everywhere. That night, I went to my room and lay down, using my phone like I always do. Around midnight, I removed my earphones. Suddenly, I heard a voice. At first, I thought it was someone outside, but then I realized it was coming from inside the house. It was a deep, slow voice, like someone talking to a friend. I froze. The door was half open. My heart started pounding. I looked around for something to protect myself. On the wall was a katana sword for decoration. I took it. Quietly, I opened the door and stepped out. The hallway was dark. The living room was quiet. The dog and parrot were lying down. But something didn't feel right. The dog's body looked wrong. His back was too straight, his legs too long, almost like a human trying to look like a dog. I searched the whole house. No one was there. I went back to my room, too scared to sleep. I decided to go outside for a walk. The cold wind hit my face. The street was empty. Even the streetlights looked dim, like they were dying. After an hour, I returned. When I opened the door, I felt a chill. Something was off. My suitcase, which I had placed near the couch, was gone. I found it in my room, but I knew I didn't put it there. I tried to sleep, but the voice came again, this time louder, faster, like someone was angry. I had a plan. I placed my phone in the living room, recording, and quietly returned to my room. Soon the voices came back. I grabbed the phone and checked the video, and what I saw made my blood go cold. The dog was standing on two legs. He was walking around the room like a person. He turned to the parrot and said in a low voice, "He's watching us too much. We need to do something." The parrot replied, "Wait until he sleeps. Then we show him who we are." I was shaking. I dropped the phone. I stepped into the living room. The dog was back on all fours, eyes closed. But I swear, he was smiling. In the morning, I told my friend everything. He laughed and said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. The dog was trained by a strange old man. Some say he was into black magic. But don't worry, the dog only talks at night." He walked away, still smiling. I stood there, unable to breathe. That night I didn't sleep, and from the corner of the hallway, I heard whispering again. My friends and I went on a trip to a city near Los Angeles. Behind that area, we found a quiet lake with dark water and a high cliff beside it. The place felt hidden, like it was cut off from the world. Instead of paying for hotels, we decided to camp there. At first, we were happy, but we didn't know what was coming. We set up a big tent near the lake. The water was so still, it looked like glass. It reflected the stars and the trees above it. The forest around us was silent. No birds, no wind. Just silence. We made barbecue, played cards, and laughed. But slowly the sky turned orange, then gray. Evening was coming fast. The air started to feel cold, and the silence became heavier. Our car was parked far away because there was no proper road to where we camped. As it got dark, my friend, the cook, asked me to bring water from the car. I grabbed a flashlight and started walking alone through the trees. The path was narrow and uneven. As I got closer to the car, I suddenly saw something move. A quick dark shape passed between the trees, too fast to be a person. My heart skipped a beat. I pointed my flashlight there, but saw nothing. I told myself it was probably an animal, but the fear had started. On the way back, I stopped on a small hill. That's when I saw something strange. Between two bigger hills far away, there was a house. It looked old, broken, and empty. But there was something about it, something wrong. The windows looked like eyes watching me. I don't know why, but I felt pulled toward it like it was calling me. I started walking to it. The ground was wet and slippery. I fell hard. My arms were scratched and bleeding. That should have been a warning. But I kept going. When I got close, I saw the windows opening and closing slowly, yet there was no wind. It felt like the house was breathing. Then I heard it, a scream, a girl's voice, echoing through the hills. I stopped behind a tree. The scream was followed by shouting, a woman yelling. My hands were shaking. I felt cold, like ice was running through my body. Suddenly, the door of the house slammed open. A man walked out holding a belt. I thought he was going to hurt someone, but he didn't look angry, just tired, sad. He walked into the trees and disappeared. I moved closer to the house and looked through a broken window. Inside, a girl was on the floor, rocking back and forth. Her hair covered her face. She was whispering strange words again and again. Her voice didn't sound like a girl's. It was deep, low, almost like someone else was speaking from inside her. The mother was crying. The father stood frozen. They looked lost, scared. That's when I understood. The girl was possessed. Something evil was inside her. I couldn't move. I just stared. Then she stopped whispering. She looked up. Her eyes were black, completely black. And then she smiled. A horrible, twisted smile. She had seen me. I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't stop until I reached the car. I grabbed the water and rushed back to the camp. I didn't tell my friends. They were laughing by the fire. I sat down, quiet, trying to forget. That night, when everyone was asleep, I lay in the tent with my eyes wide open. And then I heard it again, a whisper, soft but clear, right beside my ear. It said my name. In 2020, I went to my friend's wedding. He said his wife loved quiet and natural places, so they chose a peaceful town near the woods. It was a happy day for them, but for me, it became a nightmare I still can't forget. We all went there by train. When we arrived, I found out we were staying in an old villa near a lake. It looked beautiful from the outside, but something about it felt off. I ignored the feeling. A waiter showed me to my room. It was on the 4th floor, and he told me, "You'll be the only one up here." He smiled when he said it, but for some reason, it didn't make me feel safe. The room looked modern, clean, too clean, like it was hiding something. I placed my bag in the closet and took a shower. I was just starting to relax. Then I heard voices, men talking, low, serious, and close. I froze. The waiter had said no one else was on this floor. I stood still, holding my towel, barely breathing. The voices didn't sound like wedding guests. They sounded planned, secret. I went to grab my clothes, and that's when I saw it. A small hole inside the closet wall. I pressed my ear to it. The voices were clearer now. What I heard made my blood run cold. They were planning a robbery. They had guns. They had a map of all the guests. Room by room. At 12 o'clock, they'd go in, take what they wanted, and if anyone woke up, shoot and lock the door. I felt like I was going to pass out. Then, the lights cut off. The only light came from the moon outside the window. The room was filled with shadows. My heart pounded so loud I thought they could hear it. Maybe they didn't know I was up here. Maybe they thought this floor was still empty. I locked the door, turned my phone to silent, and called the police. They said they were 40 minutes away. The villa was deep in the woods. I called my friend. His phone was off. That's when I remembered something. Earlier that day, he had joked about carrying protection, just in case. I didn't take it seriously. He always said stuff like that. Now I hoped he wasn't joking. I had to act. I took the lamp, broke it, and pulled out the copper wire. I opened my door slowly. The hallway was dead quiet. I tied the wire around the stair door to lock it shut from my side. If they tried to come up, they'd be stuck. Less than 10 minutes left until midnight. I ran down, shaking. I found my friend. I woke him up, whispered everything. He didn't say a word. He just reached into his bag and pulled out 2 small guns. My stomach turned. He wasn't joking after all. We went outside. The wind was cold. Everything was still. Then we saw them. 2 men coming down the side of the villa using ropes. Halfway in the air, dressed in black. My friend pointed his gun and shouted, "Stay right there or I'll shoot." They froze. We stood there in silence. My hands were shaking, but I didn't drop the gun. They didn't move. 10 minutes passed. It felt like 10 hours. Finally, the police arrived. They were arrested on the spot. It was over. But something inside me broke that night. I still think about the hole in the wall. How long was it there? Who else had stayed in that room before me? How many people had heard those same voices, but never got the chance to escape? Even now, when I hear whispers through the wall, when the power suddenly cuts off, when I stay in a room that's too quiet, it all comes back. That fear, that silence, that night.